This is week 5 of Adobe Visual Design, and this is the summary for the class for the week. So if you missed anything or you wanted to catch back up on what we've covered, this is the video you would reference. Opened up class on Monday with an overview of the materials for week 5. I have added both Jamboards that should hold both if you're in 2A, your business card that you created would go here, and if you're in 3B, your business card would go here. Noting your submissions for your business card, I had a good 15 to 20 people who hit the submit button and didn't attach a file. Unfortunately, if you did that, you received a 30. You can still get some credit for your assignment, but you're going to need to go ahead and go back and reattach the JPEG version of your file. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and go over the review of the materials for this week. So last week we were in class. We covered elements of design, and this week we are going to go a little bit into Photoshop. We covered, and there's a little summary that says right here, last week we covered we introduced ourselves to Photoshop and color and design principles. This week we will go a little bit more into Photoshop. I'm going to give you a little bit of a masking assignment today and go over the tools with you. So in order to do this, you're going to need Photoshop. Now, Photoshop looks like this as a program, and if you don't have access to Photoshop currently and you're working on a Chromebook, it would look like this. This is Photo P. It's not the Photoshop. It's the generic that I've mentioned. It can still do some of the things that we need. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about the tool panel and go through the layers panel today, and I think I'll stop at that and then go into the little assignment. So for reference materials and assets that you might need for today, they're going to be located in the general stuff folder. I created a link. These are just some images you can use for today's Jamboard thing that we do, or today's assignment that you're going to be creating. So let's get started. So in Photopea, I am going to click New Project, and it gives me all these options for different templates. I'm going to find one that has an animal in it. Maybe this one right here of this bird. I'm going to click on it. And for Photoshop, if I actually have the item Photoshop, I'm going to click on this field and download this field, okay? And so the field's been downloaded. I go to Show and Finder, and boom, I'm going to drag that into Photoshop. Now, I have a big sunset field with sun coming up, and it just looks wonderful. It has this golden colors. We're going to use Photoshop and talk about some things. So under the tool panel, it has a little flyout button right here, and if you're in Photopea, you have that little button too, but this one doesn't tend to do anything. Underneath every single tool, if you click and hold down, is a subset of tools. So if you're missing a tool, for instance, you're trying to get the magic wand tool, it's underneath. So there's a little down arrow in the bottom right corner of each tool. You can click on that, and that will give you access to the tool. Same thing hold true in Photoshop. If you want to access a tool underneath it, you just click and hold down and you can find it. Alright, so command keys. I talked about these last week, going back over them again. Command plus zooms in, command minus zooms out. If I have my brush tool and I press the right square bracket, my brush gets big. If I press the left square bracket, my brush gets small. That's pretty cool. If I get into the program and I'm in Photoshop and my colors are red or whatever colors they might be, what if they're right here, and I want it to default to black and white, all I have to do on the keyboard is hit D. D defaults to black and white. Now if I hit X, I can toggle between the both of them. Let's look at the Photopea example of that. This is the file you opened up here. At any time, if you want to pause this video, just hit spacebar. I'm going to click on the first layer, hold down Shift, and I'm going to introduce you to the layer panel now. Over here, you will see an array of buttons. The first one on the far right is the trash can. I'm going to click on the first layer up here, hold down Shift, and I've selected all the layers above me. And now if I hit the trash can, they all go away. Now, that is pretty cool. We are going to use a layer mask. So 4 over from that is this rectangle with a circle. That's the layer mask button. Now I'm going to explain how layer masks work. A mask takes away anything in this layer that I want to get rid of. So I'm going to grab my brush tool here. I'm going to make my brush bigger by pressing my right square bracket. And I'm going to simply paint. Noticing that when I paint with white, and I'm selected over in the layer mask, it takes away the background. Now I'm going to hit Command Z undo. I'm going to click on this one and I'm going to paint. And it's saying, oh, that's what happened. And sometimes this will happen to you. You'll be painting here and you say, Mr. Bush, I don't understand. It's not taking the background away. That's because you're in the wrong layer. So I'm going to hit Command Z a couple of times. Go over here. And now notice it goes away. It's pretty nice. I can also control the opacity of the brush and the smoothness. I can see if I bump up the smoothness, I can lightly start kind of taking away the item. Just really soft edges. Okay? So that's pretty cool. Let's look at that same option in Photoshop. Tools aren't that different. You can probably figure it out on your own, but I'm just going to briefly talk about it. Here's the layer mask. Going to click on the layer mask button, hit the right square bracket. Noticing my brush is getting bigger, and I'm painting and nothing's happening. Because I'm painting with what color? I'm painting with white. Hit X on the keyboard. Now black is on my foreground color, and I can start to slowly paint away that foreground, or I'm sorry, the sky in this case. Cool? Alright, so now you know how a layer mask works. I'm going to click and drag that layer mask by selecting it right here and clicking and holding down and dragging it into the trash. Yes, I'm going to say delete layer mask. You can do the same thing here. Click and drag and delete. Boom. Back to here. Now for this to work, I'm going to go File, New, and I'm going to open, it's just too easy, I'm going to open this picture of this boy right here. And again, I'm going to delete the background. Clicking on the first one, holding down Shift, and hitting Trash Can. Now this time I'm going to move one photo over to another. Same operation holds true in Photoshop. So we're going to click on it, hold down on it. You see it moving. I'm still holding down. I'm not letting go. I hovered over to the first file, which is up here, and then I click and let go. And now I have 2 layers, one with the bird and one with the boy. Tabs up here are different files. If I'm missing anything and I can't find it, I can always look up here. So, that being said, I have a giant bird and a boy on a log. How can I merge the two to make them look like they work? So, I guess what I'm going to do is pull the bird on top of I'm going to pull the bird to the top. And now you can click and drag these layers. See how I'm doing that? And I can pull them down or up and move the order of the layers. And that can be, it's going to help. So I'm going to pull that bird back to the top. Using the mask, I'm going to click the mask button and going to simply paint away. Now what color am I painting with? Oops, look at this. I'm not even on the right layer mask. So I'm going to click and drag that layer mask into the trash. I'm going to make sure I'm on the layer of the bird. And I'm going to click the layer mask button. Now I'm going to paint. I see the background is coming through. I'm going to go bring my opacity and my flow to 100%. Now let's see. There we go. I got the whole scene. I can even make my brush bigger. Make this happen in one swoop. And the best part is, oh, I took off the bird's head. So how do I fix that? Hit X on the keyboard, make my brush a little bit smaller, and voila, brought the bird's head right back. That's why we use layer masks. You can bring content back. So there's the bird. If I hit Command plus, I can zoom in. I can make my brush small with my left square bracket, and I can paint back the bird. There it is. And paint there a little bit right there. Maybe hit X, toggle back off. Start cleaning up this edge right here. That's nice. Looking good. Now, you get an idea of kind of how I'm working through this, and I want to spare you the time, but yet at the same time, I want to make sure you understand how this is happening. Again, I am painting with black to make the background go away. Command minus, zoom out, right square bracket, enlarge brush, and voila. Look, I'm taking some big chunks out. I'm doing this fairly cleanly. And that's what you learn how to do over time in this program. Again, this is a photo manipulation program. This is how you can do a lot of things. We're going to use it to do something fun. I want you to take this object now. I'm going to put that bird right here. And boy, he does not recognize that big giant bird beside him. And I'm going to paint the background away. I'm going to get rid of that. Let's see, there we go. Up. I'm going to use the cropping tool, click here, and click and hover over the photograph, and return. And there we go. So you've learned how to use the mask tool, you've learned how to use the move tool. Last thing I want to show you is we're going to go back to Photoshop in the other program, and it will hold true. Everything we've done has worked. We're going to do a gradient mask, and that's why I've provided y'all with the general stuff folder. In the general stuff folder is an explosion. Click and double click on that and click the download button. Now it pops up. So I'm going to locate it and drag it into Photoshop. I'm going to use that same technique we just used a second tool. In this case, my move tool is in the top left. It's a little different. I'm going to click and drag. Oh, it's not letting me. Okay, why not? And it's because this is locked. So I got to double click on that layer. Did you notice that when I double click, this lock went away? Double click, boom. Now I can click and move the thing up into the field and let go, and voila. So what we're going to do now is use a layer mask, but this time we're going to use a gradient tool. So I've clicked on the gradient tool. Black and white are my foreground colors and background colors. I'm going to click and hold down. Up. That went away. Let's go the other way. I'm going to click and hold down just a little and drag up. And there we go. I can click and hold down and drag up a little bit more. Go back a couple of steps. On Photoshop, if you need to go back more steps, it's Option Command Z. Alright, so there you go. I'm going to grab my gradient tool, click and drag up, and boom. Creating kind of a simulated world where a giant explosions happen. Now I can take my brush and bring down the opacity, bring down the flow. If I start painting, maybe I can pull some of that sunset back in. Maybe I just want to have that giant electric ball popping up. So I kind of want to just paint over this, and you can start seeing the background kind of pop up. There you go. You can get kind of an idea, and you can mesh two worlds in with another. And this is exactly how they do movie posters. And we referenced that in class. I showed y'all an example of a movie poster. I'm going to go ahead and click on one right here. Star Wars movies. Let's look at a Star Wars movie poster. All examples, even this one right here, they all use gradient masking. So that's what you're learning right here. You're learning how to mask photos to make them work. So hopefully this will prove effective for you. Hopefully it makes sense. If there are any other questions, that would conclude on the first day. Second day, and anything else moving forward is noted in the class. We have the weekly summary for right here. So that covers the tools. And if you want to explore and go a little bit deeper than what we did today in class, you're welcome to check out these right here. We'll be using, we'll be doing a little bit more with Photoshop on Wednesday, and then we'll have a design elements hands-on activity. I like to shift it up a little, use a little Photoshop, and use a little Photoshop and a little hand designing. So that being said, this is your weekly summary for week 5. The assignment for this week is going to be posted right here. It's going to be a design sheet. Be looking for it. It will be fun. All right, signing off.